Hey, what's up? This is Chris from 3 Doors Down, and you're watching Fret12.com.
100 days have made me older since the last time that I saw your pretty face.
Well, I'm using new vintage amplifiers because they give me free t-shirts. No, actually, I'm using new vintage because of the service. I used to use H&K. The company H&K, I love them, don't get me wrong, but they kept changing distributors, and it was just really hard to kind of stay connected with them and tour and be on the road because their home base is in Germany. Great amps, but just hard for me here in the United States to kind of stay with them. So I started looking for other companies. I found this guy actually found me, and he built me a couple amps. I love them. No modeling, all tubes, all wood. So that's it. I don't use any pedals. What you hear is what you get, you know, with aside from whether the front of house guy kind of manipulates a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I'm all about tone, always have been. Main tunings is just standard 440 is the main tuning. We do a couple things in D sharp here without using D sharp. Mm-hmm. So half step down. Citizen Soldiers in C. And then we have a song called Train, which half the guitar is tuned standard and the other half is tuned C. So the first 3 strings are tuned down, way down, so I can get that low kind of growl, and then I can do the solo up in standard. Okay. So that's as technical as we get. Yeah, what happened was the rhythms got laid down, and then we tried playing a solo in C. It just sounded evil. Like it made the song was dark to begin with, but it needed a place to breathe, you know. And you're listening to these tracks, these demos, and you know there's something missing. You can't quite put your finger on it. So I was asleep, and our sound guy who was recording our demos was underneath of us in this house when we were writing that song, and I could hear him down there kind of editing, and I could hear the song over and over and over in my sleep, basically. And I woke up one morning, and I was like, I wonder what it would sound like with a nice, awake, kind of clear solo. And that's what led me to run down, just grabbed a standard guitar and sat down and wrote the solo in standard, you know, across that C tuning, you know, whatever you got to do that. Mm-hmm. And it woke it right up. And then, so in my opinion, it made the song album worthy. I wasn't a performing musician. What would I be doing? I don't know. When I used to be a cop for a while. I don't know that I'd still be doing that. And I was also a firefighter, but I don't know if I'd still be doing that. It kind of wasn't my bag, those 2 gigs. So I really don't know. Probably working construction. You know, if I had all my fingers, I'd still be working construction. I think the riff writing process is, I don't know, it's kind of, it's weird. What I like to do is when I was growing up, I had certain bands that wrote riffs that kind of made me feel a certain way. And that's what I look for when I'm writing riffs. I look for that feeling. And instead of just writing, oh, hey, that sounds cool. It's not really about sound as it is emotion, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's easy to kind of go from E to A to G or whatever, but is it easy to make someone go, man, I feel that? You know what I mean? That's what's hard, and that's what I try to do with riff writing. It's not really scientific. It just kind of, it is what it is. Sometimes it just becomes a riff, and you bring the riff to the band, and you're like, hey, let's do something around this. Sometimes, more often than not, it'll be a riff that I'll bring to Brad, and I'll be like, hey, what melody do you hear here? And if the melody that hits that riff is good enough to work with, we'll bring that. Everyone will bring that together. But the way this band writes, we all generally write together. Very seldom have songs been written all music or all lyrics. It's always been a group effort. A couple of them have, though. Believer, the song Believer was written music first, just as a way to get some aggression out. One day I was kind of mad and just kind of put it all down with the drum machine and gave it to Brad, and it sat around, you know, all that, the whole song on a CD with no lyrics for months. And then you finally put lyrics to it. So it happens all different ways. My lead tone is bridge pickup and everything up. The whole guitar maxed out, and I just kind of find an amp that sounds good to me. And I'm using Signature New Vintage right now, so which are my models. But And I also have, on suggestion from Mark Tremonti, he gave me a boost pedal. It was a Michelangelo boost pedal, which adds a little more kind of cut to so it doesn't get buried in your ears when you're running solo. So new vintage amp, PRS single cut, and that boost pedal, and that's my tone. It really doesn't deviate from that at all. Johnny K. I like Johnny K because of, number one, he has a love of guitar tone. A lot of producers do have a love of guitar tone, but he has like almost a love affair with it and with gear and equipment, and so do I, because guitars to me are works of art. They're more than just an instrument. They're things that you can cherish. Johnny looks at it that way too, and he also crafts songs that way. It's not like, hey, we're just going to put this up and it's going to sound great and that's it. He gets into each little piece of it and gets down and dirty with the tone. And the one thing that I don't like about him is that you'll play the same riff 150 times and it'll all be good, and then he'll chop that riff up and then he'll make a perfect riff and then he'll make you play it again. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys, and it gets a little annoying after a while. But when you leave the room, after working with him for 6 weeks, you're a better player. There's a little bit of chorus front of house, but no, my tone is dry. And what I hear in my ears, it's all dry. There's no chorus on it at all. I used to wet it down a little bit with a little bit of chorus, because it kind of makes the tone sweeter, in your ears. But with the PRSs, you can just use that middle position pickup and have a coal tap. I can pop that coal tap out, and it kind of just lays like a little mush on top of it. If that makes any sense at all to anybody, it just kind of lays almost like a soft cotton blanket right on that. You know what I mean? That's what it seems like to me. Like someone just goes, and that's what it sounds like in my ears, and that takes that chorus pedal need out of it. Guitar picks, but if you want to know what millimeter and all that shit, mediums. I guess. Yeah, 0.23572. I don't know.
It's very specific.
It's not very specific. It's all about how they feel in your hand.
Yeah. So you prefer the thinner pick?
I'm a medium guy. I'm not the little short these little things, the little diamond type things. I'm more of a. But I don't like thins, and I'm like I said, I'm a wood chopper. I'm a right hand kind of shoulder guitar player. Not this, more this. So I need something that can stand up to that, because I will chew a pick apart. So like the really thin, the really thick, like plastic smooth picks, I will literally whittle those down to like pieces of plastic, little cheese. I'll whittle them. I'll tear them right apart.
How long does a pick make it? Like each song?
No, not even through a song. Sometimes, I'm throwing them crazy. People wonder why I throw so many, because I'll play and I'll look, and sometimes you'll get the little cracks in them, and they'll start grabbing the string.
Right.
And I'm just done with that. Just get another one.
It's gone.
Plus the kids love it when you throw stuff at them.
Yeah.
I don't know why. For me as a guitar player, what I generally will do is before a tour, I'll start practicing again like I did when I was a kid. I'll do 6 hours a day for a couple of days, but I don't specifically practice things that I'm not going to use on the road. I do things that I'm going to use, so I'm doing a lot of crossover type right hand things, you know what I mean? Not so many scales, but a lot of tricky things with my fingers, just to kind of get the dexterity and get my fingers moving. Because I want to play a perfect show every night, and I want to do it and make it look easy.
Right.
Make it look I'm not really trying. So I have to practice not trying, if that makes any sense. So I spend a lot of time standing up practicing. I don't really do it in the mirror, but I do stand up, and I practice a lot standing up, and I walk as I practice. And so I use a hollow body PRS so I can hear it usually. But I'll walk around the house, out in the yard, and just walk and practice a little bit. And I'll do a couple hours like that. And then I'll practice the songs I'm going to play. And even songs that we wrote, I'll go back over them and over them and over them. So, like I said, it becomes memory. I can almost do my taxes and play a show. It's pretty cool. And then the band will get together. Generally, we'll do 3 or 4 rehearsals before a tour as a band in my studio, just the guitar players and the drummer, rhythm section basically. Then Brad will come in and sing 4 or 5 times. My favorite guitar player would probably be Brian May. And I think the reason that not only is he a great player, but his decision on tone, it seems to be like I think that he's more like me than anybody else, because it's not just about ripping a solo. It's about the perfect tone for the perfect part and all that stuff. And if you hear his tone, it sounds like Brian May, obviously, so he's got his own thing going on. But it's almost something that no one else would think of, you know? So I really respect that. And then as far as a player that's out today that I'm really digging, oh geez, there's so many really great guitar players out there. But I gotta give it up to Tremonti, really. From what he became and over the years, from where I saw him the first time play, he was a great player, to where he is now, it's like he's almost a million times better than he was. And all he does is practice, and he's that guy. He's a science project. Don't tell him I said that. But I love that about him, man. He's the kind of player that I wish I was. You know what I mean? And I wish I had the drive to become that. I just can't. He's one of the special ones. Really by not making a conscious effort to change. You know, a lot of bands will make a conscious effort to change. We never did. We just write our music and put it out. And that's all I can say, really. I don't think that no one's ever, like, we've never had a dubstep meeting. You know, we got to do a dubstep record because, oh my God, everyone's doing that, you know. We've never had that meeting. But I have heard people suggest it. But it stops right there. I don't think we're going to do that. It's not us. I don't think it would satisfy us musically. You know, I don't know what it would do for our career. It doesn't seem to be working for anybody else, you know, except for dubstep guys. Working great for them. But the rock bands that are trying it, I don't know. First of all, PRS, when the band first got signed, I was looking for a guitar that I could find a guitar that I could appreciate as a player. I'd always wanted expensive guitars that sounded great, but never could afford them. And I was playing Ibanez, you know, Ibanez. We call them Ibanez because, you know. Anyways, I was playing Ibanez when I first started, and I could never find what I really liked. You know what I mean? I knew I wasn't this guy, and I wanted it to be about the guitar and the tone and, you know, that part of it. And I never could quite put my finger on what I didn't like about Ibanez, but I didn't like them. And so I started looking for guitars. So I went to a music store in Las Vegas and contacted Gibson. Gibson was like, "3 what? Who? What? You know, PRS was like, "Sure, man, whatever you need. We're going to send you a guitar. You tell us how you like it." That's how I got introduced to PRS, just like that. Next day, hadn't met these guys. I had a brief phone conversation with my manager, not even the company. The next day I had a guitar. I had a Custom 24 in California. Very next day.
Oh, the gold top?
The gold top, the coil tap.
Coil tap,
Yeah. That's the only gold top I've seen. I think Zach might have a couple. I'm not really sure, but it worked out good. Because I called New Orleans Saints and I was like, "Hey, I want to make a Saints guitar. Can you send me some helmet decals?" And they did. So
nice.
It worked out pretty good. And I'm plugging it in, I'm playing it. And when I plugged it, it was Custom 24. I found that middle position that I like, or with the rotary. Found that sweet spot, and I was sold. And I was a PRS guy from that point forward. This is my utility, a hollow body, so it'll be the When I'm Gone guitar. I also have a hollow body triple pickup signature, but I just took it out of here, and I'm gonna take it. It's gonna be my B rig. And then I really didn't think about any other companies, but I started playing PRSs. Went out on the road, and they were really good to me. Where's it at? Right there. This is my new fave. Antique white Chris Henderson.
There you go, man.
Yeah. So when you said that, I was like, wow. But see, I'm a huge LSU fan, so we built it. The helmet stripes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love this thing. That's the When I'm Gone guitar. It's really heavy, man. I don't know why, but it's just like the heaviest guitar I own. And generally after about 8.5, 9 pounds, I kind of just start going downhill.
Right.
This one never did. It's nice and present and awake. Clean tone on it's amazing. And it was one of those things where I think they had made it for someone else. And I asked the guys at PRS if they had one, and they were like, "You know what, we made one. The guy never bought it, so we'll send it to you." And that's how I got this.
Oh, nice.
And it's been with me ever since. It'll always been all over the world. There was something about the Custom 24, the Custom 22. I couldn't put my finger on it that I couldn't quite shake out. You know what I mean? It was great. It sounded good. Everyone loved it. There's something inside my heart that just wasn't me yet, you know? So I was like, went on the search. I went back on the search. I reapproached Gibson again because I was looking for that Les Paul-y type, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Gibson was like, you know, 7 million records, I don't know, man, you know, kind of. I was like, all right, great. So I went back to PRS again, and they sent me the single cut, and that was in 2003. And when I put that middle position, that was it. I found that tone. It's one of the old ones.
Oh, man.
Yeah, my friend Justin carves these things out. Isn't that something?
That is awesome.
And, you know, he takes the guitar, he sands it down, carves it out, and lacquers it, relacquers it, and sends it back to you. And he does, sometimes he does like some leather binding and stuff that's really cool. But I asked him not to do that to this one. I didn't want him hammering on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and it sounds great, man. Man, so good to me. And they had that lawsuit.
Yeah.
Paul called me, like Paul Reed Smith called me. And my phone rang, and I was like, hello? And he was like, Chris? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, Paul Smith. I was like, Paul Smith? Paul, what the fuck is Paul Smith? He's like, Paul Reed Smith. I was like, oh, wow. Hey man, how's it going? Like,
Hello,
what did I do wrong? And, are you taking my guitars away from me? And he's like, no. He's like, look. He's like, I just want you to know that we're going through some hard times, you know, with this lawsuit thing. But we're confident that we're going to be okay, and we just want you to know that we can't build you guitars right now. We can't sell you guitars. We can fix your guitars, but we can't do anything else. And we're really sorry. And we just hopefully, you know. And I was like, you know what? I'd already made my decision. I was never playing another guitar in the world ever live. I told Paul right then, I was like, you know what, I'll be here, man. I'll be here, and I'll stick with you. And I knew Tremonti would. And I think me and Tremonti and maybe one other guy stayed. Everyone else jumped ship back to Gibson or Washburn. Washburn went after a lot of people, a lot of guys in the business, and got some of them.
Right.
It's business, right?
Right.
But you know, they went after me, and I didn't move, and that's how I ended up with the signature guitar. And that was the long version of the story. Paul said, you know, I want to do something really special for you. I was like, build me a guitar. And that was my exact words, build me a guitar. And he was like, I'll do one better. We'll build you a signature guitar, and we'll sell it. So we designed it. We went to work designing it right then, the triple pickup with the cold tap. Because I need that extra little sweet spot, man. It's all about that. And it's all about tone. And it's all about a perfect instrument. And then Paul asked me, he's like, can we build an SE version of this guitar? And I basically was like, you know, you can do whatever you want, but I don't want an SC guitar. And they actually respected that. They were like, okay, sure, man, whatever you want. You know, the risk is maybe no one will buy your signature guitar. And I was like, it's not about that for me. It's about, you know, the guitar, walking into a pawn shop when I'm 50 and seeing this guitar and knowing right off the bat that that's a quality instrument that and people will be wanting those things for the way they sound. This is the one that I used in the When I'm Gone video. On the aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
And after the video was over, I sat it on a stand, and we were doing like another kind of dry run shot, and I was using a different guitar, and Brad threw his mic stand and hit the fucking guitar here, knocked it off of the stage onto the deck of the aircraft carrier and broke the guitar. I sent it back to PRS, and they fixed it and painted it, and there it is.
Can't even tell.
Can't even tell, man. And it's the only one I've ever seen painted like that from them.
Yeah, I've never seen one like that before.
So that's the hot rod now. And this thing, I use
no
it for
binding,
everything.
so it's the straight through. That's sleek.
No binding. But when they told me, they were like, we fixed it, but it's not going to be, it was a 10-top before. Mm-hmm. And they're like, it's never going to be a 10-top again. It's got wood binding and glue and all kinds of shit. And I was like, paint it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what color? And I was like, surprise me. That's what I got.
Nice.
So here's the camo guitar. This is now the When I'm Gone guitar. And what's funny about this is Army digital camouflage.
Yeah.
And when I asked PRS to paint it, they were like, well, we want to do it authentic. We want to do it from the Army actual colors. So I had to get clearance from the general or whoever for these colors to go on this guitar. Isn't that
awesome.
crazy?
Yeah.
So, you know, not for the price. It's not about price. It's about the instrument. Paul respected that, and he took a huge, huge risk on me. I think what led me to take out the center pickup was the fact that there was an SE version of my guitar, kind of the Zach Myers. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe the fan base are similar. I think people were kind of getting confused, maybe. Because I started seeing things on the internet that people were asking me, are you playing a Zach Myers? And I think he was hearing, are you playing a Chris Henderson? And both of us were having to explain it.
Right.
And Paul was just like, why don't we just redo your version of it? Let him have the SE and have the triple pickup version. You go to the double pickup. And I was like, sure, let's do it. I like a Les Paul style anyways. Let's just do something different.
Right.
And so we went back to the drawing board and basically built an SE 250 and put my name on it.
Nice.
And it's a really, really sweet guitar.
Yeah.
High output, man, super high gain, just like I like it.
Yeah.
So you can get wood and tone. You don't need to dress it up with a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Run it through a dead crab and plug it into a fucking wall and then back into a pedal board as big as the spaceship. You don't need to do any of that stuff to them. Plug them in, turn it on. I don't remember ever meeting these guys. I just remember knowing them. So if that makes sense. They're from a really small town in Mississippi. We've known each other our whole lives. So no one ever came up to me and said, hey man, this is Brad. It was just like all of a sudden Brad's on my radar. You know what I mean? Me and Todd played football together in junior high and high school. Had the same girlfriends, that kind of thing. Because it was a really small town. And Todd dated Brad's sister. Matt and Brad were cousins. Yada, yada, yada. Here we are. And if you played music in the town we're from, you were in this band or you didn't play music. It's just the way it was. We were the only thing going. And so that's how I met him. Deciding to work with him, it wasn't even a decision. This was the only band I could have played in pretty much in Escatawpa, Mississippi, because there wasn't any other bands. You had to go to others. You had to get in your car and drive to Mobile, Alabama to be in a music group. And anyone who's been in a band knows that 99.9% of the time you're not going to get along with the people in the band, and that band's going to break up, and you're going to be looking for another one, and you're looking for another one, looking for another one. This band hasn't done that, so got really lucky in that respect. We have lost a few members. We lost Matt recently, and he had some circulation issues. But the cool part about it was I had a guitar tech who's a great player, and who listens to my mix every night, which Matt was in my mix. So he's one of those guys where I already knew the parts because he's such a great player. He already knew the parts by just listening to them. So when Matt decided he wasn't going to be able to make it back out, we didn't have to hold auditions. Brad was like, "You think Chet can do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, Chet can do it. Hell yeah, he can do it." So we took him to South America, no rehearsals. We did a sound check, and he played a show, Belo Horizonte, Brazil, in front of 7,000 people. And he had never practiced with us before. And he sang background vocals. And he did it well. And not only that, was he learned the solos, Matt's solos. You know what I mean? I had mine, Matt has his. And Chet was like, "Do you want to do Matt's solos?" And I was like, "Nah, man, you do it. If you can." And he's like, "Well, you know what?" He goes like, "I can do this one, and this one tonight, but maybe not this one or this one." So I would cover that. But by third show, man, he had all Matt's parts, singing all the background vocals. Each one of my techs I always give a guitar to.
Yeah.
And this is the one I gave him. And I used it in the When You're Young video. And then once I used it, I was like, "Here, man, it's yours now." So
Nice.
But now he's using it on this side, and this is a great guitar. And also, what else did I do with it? I did some TV shows with it, like The Tonight Show and things like that. Yeah. Great guitar.
It's an awesome color too.
It is. Violin yellow or violin orange. And now he's in the band. He was my tech. And what's crazy is that Zach from Shinedown was my tech for 3 years. And we were out with Shinedown, and that's how he got into that. So if you want to get a gig in rock and roll, you can work for me for a couple of years. Maybe you'll get one.
Yeah.